dream that endangers the life of the dreamer is perhaps worth giving up. That's the story many African migrants who ended up in Libya's Misrata instead of being on a boat headed for Europe. The nationals of different countries are settling in the city, finding jobs which enables them to send money to their families back home. Here's a look at the report.
Thousands of Africans embark on perilous journeys in search of a better life across the Mediterranean. Many of them never make it, and survivors have grim stories to tell. Libya is the transit point where most migrants face the deadliest stretch of the sea, but it also offers a home for many whose journeys to Europe have been cut short. Every morning, dozens of African migrants line in the street in Misrata, known as Workers' Lane, waiting to find work, haven't settled in the Libyan city. Sometimes it requires hours of waiting until they get picked by business owners or construction companies. The migrants earn between 80 and 150 dinars per day, enough to cover their living expenses and even send some money back to their families back home. It's not their dream of a greener pasture in a foreign land, but they believe they're better off.
I've been doing this every morning for about 1.5 years now. Usually I wait here for an hour or two to find work. Sometimes I find work and money becomes available. But other times I don't find work or make money. But generally I'm doing fine. Thank God.
Most of the migrants live in compounds built by private construction companies. Up to 5 migrants can share a single apartment and split the rent to nearly about 100 dinars a month. Libya is a common route for many from West Africa fleeing violence and economic hardship, and those who do not make it on a boat on the Mediterranean end up in detention centers across the country.
I came to Libya to find money. I have a child and a wife who I need to feed. And now with this job, I have money which I can send to my wife. Thank God.
Aid agencies say most migrants suffer abuse, torture and rape as they cross Libya in pursuit of a new life in Europe. With jobs to sustain themselves, they see no need to attempt the dangerous voyage.
I work little by little, thank God. It's better here than in Europe. In Europe, it's a bit hard. When you leave for Europe, you could even die on the Mediterranean. It's not good.
More than 600,000 migrants have reached Italy, mostly from Libya, since 2014, while some 13,000 have died trying to make the crossing in Europe's worst migrant crisis since World War II. The North African country has been gripped by turmoil since the 2011 NATO-backed uprising ended Muammar Gaddafi's 42-year rule, giving space to smuggling networks that have sent hundreds of thousands of migrants to Europe via Libya.
Now, after 50 years of sitting in the National Geographic Archives, 100 hours of footage on Jane Goodall and her groundbreaking observations of chimpanzees in the African forest of Tanzania, the footage has been compiled into a documentary film. At a screening of the film in Los Angeles, Goodall spoke to VOA's Elizabeth Lee about her work and shared her thoughts on the film.
Day after day, in the sun and the wind and the rain.
The documentary titled Jane starts in 1960 when Jane Goodall was 26 years old. Through interviews with Goodall and National Geographic footage, the film documents Goodall's early years as a woman with no university degree working in a remote part of Tanzania. Her unconventional ways of observing these chimps challenged the scientific community's belief on what it means to be human.
Well, more than any other documentary that's been made, it does take me back into the actual feeling I had when I was out there in the forest. And so it's very moving.
Goodall says the music composed by Philip Glass made watching the documentary a magical experience for her. For Glass, there was one moment in the film that especially moved him.
The very intimate scenes when she's sitting with them, and they're like children to her. She's combing their hair, and she talks with them, they're just with her as if they've accepted her totally.
With that acceptance, Goodall made headlines by discovering that chimpanzees are intelligent, social animals who use tools to gather food, something the scientific community at the time believed only humans could do.
Everything worked out perfectly, and were mistakes made, of course, but one learns from mistakes, and so I wouldn't have changed anything, really.
Goodall remembers her unique relationship with the chimps.
It's not quite family, but it's not quite like friends, but you know, I'm part of their lives. They accept me. I can watch what they do. And of course, in the time of the movie, we had a really close, touching relationship, which we don't have anymore.
This documentary features the footage of National Geographic filmmaker Hugo van Lawick, Goodall's first husband.
Going through 100 hours of Hugo van Lawick's footage is a dream. You know, Hugo's one of the greatest wildlife cinematographers in the history of filmmaking.
Hollywood actor Jamie Lee Curtis describes why she is in awe of Goodall.
She has just by doing what she loves, has brought us all along on the journey. And that's a message, if anything. You know, be uncompromising in your vision, uncompromising in your attack and attitude of what it is that you do.
I was persuaded.
Even in present day, Goodall continues to travel and speak about the need to protect the natural world. Elizabeth Lee, VOA News, Los Angeles.
I didn't care what.
And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on VOA website at voaafrica.com. You can find all our shows there and also get the world's top news stories around the clock. I'm Esther Gidoi-Ewart in Washington. Chamberlain Uso has our last word from Lagos.
We look forward to bringing you another show next week. ChannelTV.com is your source for news and other programming. I'm Chamberlain Uso. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.